Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. How you doing today? It is Sunday morning, and we have the one, the only Laura Morby with us. How you doing, Laura?
I am doing great.
Awesome. Thank you for giving us some time this Sunday. I know you have a very, very busy life with a, number or top 1% real estate agent, growing family, filming a TV show. So I'm very gracious for an hour of your time on Sunday. Thank you.
Of course.
Awesome. So one thing I wanted to talk about today is I want to kind of talk to new investors. Maybe they're thinking about it, maybe they have one or two, but they've been in the business, let's say less than 2 years, right? You and I have been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
What are some of those initial mistakes that you see new investors make? And we'll ping pong this around a little bit, but let's just put them out there because I think there's some pretty common ones, and I think we should just shine a light on them. So what's maybe the first one that comes to mind for you?
I would probably like to start with the thing that I've been interfaced with the past couple of months is I'm getting a lot of people who want to pick up an investment property rental or an Airbnb, and they are limiting themselves to MLS search. So that's, buying it retail.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing that, you're competing with people who are living in a hotel room because they can't buy a house, and people who have sold a property have a lot of cash, who have a family, who are crying. You're dealing with people who are looking for a primary residence,
Yeah.
and so that's very emotional. And then you're looking at it like, I need to make a good investment. And so if you're competing against people who are emotional and who don't have many options,
Yeah.
they're going to make crazy decisions. They're going to go 20, 30, 40, $50,000 over list price where there is no value. And so I think that is something that I'm noticing is a mistake, because
Yeah.
looking for off-market properties can be done through somebody like me, can be done through a lot of things. And I know some of the people that I'm working with are trying to get financing for their rental, their Airbnb, and that's fine. But I think that right now you have to be a little bit more creative if you're looking to pick something up. So looking off market, picking something up from a wholesaler, where you don't have a ton of competition, and maybe you can pick up something that doesn't really have a spread for like a home flipper to make a big profit, but it still makes sense numbers wise for you to pick up for a long-term hold, is way smarter. And I get it, you have to buy it cash, but do temporary hard money financing, get the property for a good price, go refi it into your, loan that you're originally going to get.
Yeah.
And I think that is the main thing that people are missing. And what's funny is I'm having like other realtors, other people in the industry refer me these people. Like I have someone who's referring women investors who want to pick up their first property. And I'm learning really quickly that like they think that they're coming to me so that they can buy something retail off MLS, and I'm going to end up having to push them towards off-market stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's, to me, is the biggest mistake right now with what's going on in our market, is just if you're trying to pick up something investment wise, unless it's something that's non-financeable, that looks like crap, that someone actually listed on MLS, like, something that a normal retail buyer isn't looking at.
Yeah.
Don't try to compete with these retail buyers right now, because you really do. You have people that are literally staying night per night in a hotel room and crying, and they've got cash, and they're going to buy, not stupid, but stupid. You're not going to be able to compete.
Yeah, I think you're so right. Today's a very unusual time. And you're in one of the hottest markets in the country, Phoenix, generically speaking. And when you're an investor and you're running math, right? Because you need a certain yield or cash flow number or whatever it is you run your numbers by, and you're competing with emotional buyers who are going to be owner occ, it's not going to end well. So the last thing I would tell you to do is try to get into a bidding war with them. So working with agents of quality like yourself, trying to go off market is definitely wise advice. The one thing I also have seen in investors, and I've seen this, 15 years ago in the last run up, is sometimes these new, I don't know what we would call them, new ideas, but this new way of investing takes off. And we'll take Airbnb, for example, right? Airbnb is becoming a very hot way to invest, whether you're doing dailies, weeklies, monthlies, rentals. And that gets celebrated, gets pumped up on social media, and all the new, not all, but many new investors just go that direction because they think it's easy, right? They don't understand all the extra process and overhead and things of that nature. I've seen a lot of, I always try to follow the herd and then go the other way. And sometimes, the herd goes that direction. 15 years ago, it was flipping homes, and, maybe wholesaling had its time. And
right.
sometimes you got to realize that, it's not as easy. Like Burr had Burr was really easy to do, right? Buy, repair, rent, refi, repeat, was very easy to do from 2013 to probably 18, much of the country. But now all the books are coming out, and now is probably not the best time to do a Burr property because, it's just funny how this happens. New investors get attracted to the shiny penny, I guess. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like, there's two sides to that coin for sure, because right now we are going hard after Airbnbs, and I've seen how like the cash flow on those, I would rather have one Airbnb than a few of our rentals that are problem children. So it's hard for me to be like, nah, don't go after Airbnb.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying that at all. It was just because I saw some of your posts, right? I think one of your Airbnbs gets you $9,000 a month or something like that on Instagram. And Airbnb is great. It's just, I don't want people to think it's as easy as the books make it.
Oh, yeah.
Was my point.
Yeah, for sure. I guess if you're always chasing the shiny new penny, you're going to be a jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly.
And nothing is necessarily easy, like maybe it becomes easy after you've done it so many times. And maybe even like the thing that I said earlier about like, look off market, get hard money. People are like, off market?
What is that?
What, how, and hard money, who, and what, and so that just sounds crazy to some people, but to me, I'm like, that's the easiest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life, that makes perfect sense to me. But I think if you're always chasing the shiny, then you're just constantly going to, you're never going to master anything. You're never going to be good at anything. Or if you think things are like, you see a post, for instance, that, we've made about an Airbnb making 9K in 1 month. You're just like, oh, wow, this is so much money and it's so easy. And I'm going to go do that. And you forget that, like what it took to buy the property and what it took to the amount of money it took to set it up. Cause you have to set it up like it's a full house, plates and dishes and, all that stuff. So it's not cheap to set up, but it does cash flow. So I guess it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're new, focus on something.
Correct.
And become good at it. And then utilize that as a stepping stone to getting into other things. Like if you start wholesaling, like we were talking about, that's the easiest way to get into home flipping, in my opinion, because you can build confidence in yourself that you're running correct numbers and projections and you're estimating correct renos because you're selling those flips. You can follow them from who bought them and what they ended up selling for and what they did. You can learn from watching the people you sold it to. You don't even have to have them like actually help you. You can just look, and so that's the easiest way to then get confidence in your numbers and then see what other people are doing on their flips. And maybe you could even, like, in your mind, when you are first contracting the house, say, I think I would do this and I would leave the cabinets and I would do this, and then follow it along and see what happens and see what that experienced home flipper did and where you were right and where you were wrong. And then
I agree.
Once you've made a few assignment, contract and you have some money, then you can feel confident going in and getting a hard money loan for a purchase for your acquisition. And then you have money to finance your own flip for your construction costs. Cause that's hard to do. That's hard to get as a first timer, to get anybody to believe in you to fund your construction costs too. So you're going to be out of pocket something. So I think getting really good at something and then looking for like a logical next step and utilizing your like super good foundation to then go do something else is the perfect way to do things.
Yeah, I love that. Any other kind of big mistakes you've seen investors make over the years?
Oh my gosh. Mm,
One that I've seen, oh, go ahead.
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say one of the things that I have seen too often
Mhm.
is people get attracted to cheap. And I even brought this up in my book, right? Um, I thought like I would go see a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in my market. One would be, 120 dialed in and one would be like 108 crap. And
Yeah.
I would buy the 108,
Mhm.
right? Which at the time turned out to be the dumbest thing I could have done, because as a buyer, I had to bring out all the out of pocket for the repairs, right? The 12 grand difference in that example. Hi, little one.
Hi.
Awesome. You want to introduce her?
Yeah. Say hi. What's your name?
What's your name?
No, what's your name?
What's your name?
That's
My name is Michael. What's yours?
Corbin Michelle.
Corbin Michelle.
Corbin Michelle. Hi, Corbin. Yeah. So what I was saying is, what I saw is a lot of people, like in my example, 120 dialed in or turnkey, 108 terrible.
Yeah.
I had to bring up 20 grand maybe in repair costs to take my 108 to the same condition. And I
Mhm.
was just burning cash. I wasn't using my
Yeah.
cash efficiently. So people get attracted to cheap. People
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing too that I think that I've noticed is when you're a small fish in a big pond, like a small fish in Phoenix Pond.
Yeah.
My dad made this mistake, and so I, if you're talking about chasing shiny objects. So
Yep.
my dad, prior to last recession, he saw a family who's super powerful, like long-standing multi-generational real estate investing family, and they were building specs in a custom home community. So then they were like, why don't you build one? We're selling them before we're even completing construction, whatever. So then my dad gets on that train and, pulling permits and starting and breaking ground and all that stuff. So he was about a year and a half behind them. Meanwhile, he's not paying attention to what they're doing.
Right.
So they're like really quickly getting out of things. And somehow they knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And then they were the first people that started a trustee sale bidding company in Phoenix. They cleaned up, and then they went on, one of the sons ended up starting OfferPad. So like, talk about being ahead of the curve. I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make is when you're a small fish
Mhm.
to not pay attention to what these big guys are doing.
Yeah.
What are the big dogs doing in your market? What are they not doing?
That's
What are they liquidating?
Yeah.
What are they going after? And that's like, the funny thing is, like, these guys, that family had like this monopoly on the trustee sale for like probably 8 months before anybody caught up.
Wow.
Meanwhile, think about all the properties that they had picked up, all the flips that they had picked up, all of the holds that they picked up, like just crazy. So like I don't know if like it's because they have so much of a market share that they can kind of sense when the tide is going out, like they know,
Probably.
they can feel the rumbling somehow.
Yeah.
But my best advice is to pay attention. If you know people like that, even if you don't know them, like, what are they doing? What are they stopping doing? What are they going after? And kind of like it, especially if you're like my dad and you're putting like all your ducks in one, or eggs in one basket. Like he was all in, put his whole retirement into that. It's super dumb. But if you're doing that with that much risk, pay attention to what people are doing. He should have probably pulled out,
right,
a couple months in and been like, look, you guys are pulling out, I'm pulling out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the last rat on the ship. So I think especially with how strange things are and how much things can change so quickly, I think paying attention to some of the bigger players in your market, and what they're doing, what they're not doing is another big piece of advice, because I mean, you can really like set yourself back for a few years if you're doing all eggs in one basket, type of thing.
Yeah, I think watching what they're doing, not what they're saying, is interesting, right? Lots of people talk one way but when you look at their business, right, maybe you're going to the, yeah, totally different. That's great advice. Again, what I would tell new investors is, we kind of brought up for this, don't be emotional, right? Run the numbers, know the process. It's more work than you expect. You know, the market is certainly different here in 2021 than it's been the last 10 years. But still, real estate investing is a great thing to do. You just got to realize it's work, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's exciting.
Oh,
I
it
think
is.
about how much fun this is.
Absolutely. It's
It
awesome.
really is. It's been a wild ride even this first half of the year.
Very cool. Well, thank you for this. We got some more exciting topics. Thanks, Laura.
All right, sounds good.